you very much. So let's move on to the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting on March 15th, 2022. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt the regular meeting minutes held on March 15th, 2022.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments, councilors? Any corrections that you deem necessary? Very well. I hear none. I sense a ready vote. All those in favor of adopting the minutes of the regular meeting held on March 15th, 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Meeting minutes of March 15th, 2022 have accepted. Thank you. Move on to number 3, presentations. Congratulations and introductions. We have a presentation by RJ the Appraisal in regards to the pros and cons of performing board evaluation updates over the next 4 years.
That's me.
Sir, yeah, if you would introduce yourself and please, the floor is yours.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Robert Duplessis, RJD Appraisal. We're your assessors here. We have Matt Caldwell, one of my agents, Kevin McCormick, my other agent. He actually was the one from our office that worked with Pittsfield on a weekly basis. So, as you can imagine, as it is everywhere else in town, the real estate market is so rapidly changing, and we've held the same assessed values on all of our properties in town for a considerable amount of time. And we need to start thinking about how we want to go ahead and stay within the standards that the state says we have to maintain. The standard is called the certified ratio, where they look at our historical values that have been the same for years against the most recent sale prices of property just in town. There's a ratio run between those two numbers, and we get a final number for the entire town. Minimum that we can be at is 70%. So on average, our assessments are supposed to be above 70% of the most recent market data. Conversely, we can be as high as 110% on the other end. And like I said, the way the real estate market is going, we're seeing losses of this ratio between 5 and 8% a year. So it's not going to take very long where we're going to be at that minimum assessing standard and at risk of failing. And what that means at the state level, where they can't necessarily mandate the town does a reevaluation, but there are financial penalties for not. When we're below that ratio, the state will stop reimbursing us tree growth and things like that. That could be tens of thousands of dollars a year that the town would lose out in reimbursements from the state level. So, as your assessor, we feel it's necessary to give you guys some options on how we should be approaching this. And and a full revaluation is a big money item. We're talking. Either way, it's got to be done one way or the other, but we have a way that we employ in most of our towns now, where to do a revaluation is broken up into many steps, and the first step is going out and gathering all the data, going out and doing the discovery, going to every property in town, basically remeasuring the house, relisting the house, and getting all the assets on the record up to date in our office. We don't really want to go that approach per se all at once, because we have viable records that have been in existence even though they're old. And we all know, especially after working here for a couple of years, Kevin can attest to this, there are properties that haven't been looked at in 20 years unless there was a building permit or a request for a review. So, people do what they're supposed to do, get building permits, and some people don't. Things can get missed. There's things you can do to your property to enhance its value without a permit. And the only way of catching it is this discovery. So our proposal is to do a quarter of the town every year. So over a 4-year period, we're going to go out and revisit that end of town, remeasure, basically verify, measure, relist the records that we have, get everything that we should be getting now. And over the next 4 years, still, because we have to treat everybody with the same yardstick. Everybody has to be assessed with the same book, if you will. So we go to somebody's house, we realize we're missing these assets, we start assessing them that we should be. For whatever reason they get missed, we don't even worry about that part of it. But we should be assessing them now, so we start assessing them now. Just like now, if somebody in this office got get a building permit for a garage, and we realize we go to the house, there's an addition that's missed, or a deck that's built, we're going to start assessing that because we should be. It's the only way of discovering it. So this process of viewing a quarter every 4 years is going to ease up the full value of that, the full cost of that revale all in one budget cycle. So we'll visit approximately, what way to go? There's about 2,175 parcels in town with a building on them. So we would visit a quarter of them every year, sectioned off, quadranted off by map. And again, while we're there, anything that should be assessed, we start assessing that now, at the level, at the building schedule we're using now. But it also sets the record up for after all 4 parts of town have been visited, we then do all the other steps of a revaluation, which is updating the record, sales analysis of what property is actually selling for us. We create new cost files for our land, cost files for our buildings, and then implement that all at once so everybody has a new value all at the same year. Again, all about fairness. We're all treating everybody with the same yardstick. Sales analysis, go out, again, another set of proofing the property, adding the land value, setting the new value, sitting down with council, coming up with a new mill rate, because obviously we'll have a much higher taxable base to tap from for our expenditures. Setting a new mill rate, notice would go out to every taxpayer, letting them know what their new tax burden would be based on the new value and the new mill rate. An opportunity for them to come meet with us here at the office, one-on-one basis, to discuss whatever they want to discuss. So it's all the workings of a full revaluation is just over a 4 or 5 year period. So it helps with the budget, no spike in the budget. And the other thing that it does is the assets that we should be picking up anyway, we start assessing them immediately. At the old level, like I said, the addition we missed, we should be assessing it. We pick it up when we see it, but we're purposely going there to look for these sort of things. That will be, picking up those additional assets will more than pay for that discovery phase part of the job. As an example would be if we went out and visited 25% of those 2,100 parcels, and once we're done, we realize that we have discovered another $1 million of taxable value. A little bit there. You know, at the mill rate that we have, that first year, we're going to capture 21,000 tax dollars that should have been assessed. Again, take it to the second year, we pick up another $1 million on that second quarter. Now we've picked up another 21,000 the second year plus the 21,000. When you compound that over time, you know, we're going to pick up 200,000 tax dollars that we would have not picked up, and the cost of that visiting those properties is about $27,000 a year. So if we're getting paid $27,000 for our time to discover these things, and we're going to net $21,000 a year anyway. Again, this is just very hypothetical. I'll give you some examples afterwards, so you can see that it's paying for itself. So at the end of the project, when we implement all the other remaining portions of the reval, you can raise $150,000 over 2 budget cycles. Because a full revaluation, if you were going to go out to bid, and all our competitors are bidding, and we're visiting the entire town, going through all these steps in 1 year, you're going to spend $275,000, $285,000. This is about that same amount of money because it's all the same functions. It's just spun out over time, and half of it almost is going to be paid for. So it's a really good way of doing it. Matt can attest to this. We're doing the same process right now for the town of Corinna. We finished our first quarter, and Matt, how much? 70?
Just over $750,000 is what we netted, and a newfound, I shouldn't say newfound value, but previously untaxed value, which resulted, like you said, that resulted up there around $14,000, which smaller town, so that basically paid, for us to go out there and do that project.
And I think that cost to the town, I think, was 13.
Yeah.
13,000 of our time to do it. So it's washing. And it's nothing, it's hard to say this out loud because you want our records to be perfect. They're just not. No record's perfect. So the worse the records are, the more that's being undiscovered is more we're going to capture, but it's just not fair to be not capturing everything we should be. So it's balance. As an assessor, it's hard to say that out loud, but it's just the truth of the matter. So I can't say here and promise it's going to happen, but you're doing everything that's right. And it helps out in the meantime. And somebody comes in, if your tax burden goes up because of something that was missed, it's easily explained. And there's very little pushback we get from the taxpayer because it's factual. You didn't get assessed for it, and there's no rhyme, there's no fault being pointed at our predecessor or them to not get a permit. We don't even care. The point is we have it now, we're setting the record up, and it's a very cost-effective way of going through this process. So.
Okay. Councils, any questions? Yeah.
Okay, so to put this clearly, try to understand it. So if you came and evaluated my house and found nothing was different, new,
Right.
that was on the spec sheet,
Yep.
but you will say evaluate the place by another $50,000.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't do that
You're not
year.
doing that,
We'd
right.
not do that. Just get the facts first.
You're just looking for something new that was not.
Right, something that was missed.
Okay,
Because
in
it's-
Reno you found $750,000
We
worth.
did. Yep. Yeah. The building permit system's not that reliable up there.
Yeah, I mean, but it adds up. That was all sheds, garages, decks, apartments over garages, things like that they never.
And so you're starting to tax those people
Right.
at the old tax rate.
That's
right
correct.
then.
That's right. If we think your house has
that's
been
right.
appreciated by 50,000, we're gonna reserve that judgment. It's not fair to you if you're in the first quarter and he's on the second quarter.
Right.
That's our biggest concern is treating everybody fairly.
Right.
And that would be absolutely
Okay.
wrong. Even things like if you've remodeled your home to a point, just generally, that the overall condition of your house has been increased a little bit, unless it's egregious, we're not even going to do that. We just get that record set. We're basically looking for facts.
Okay. You just look at new structures.
New structures, right, things that we missed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So you had mentioned before, and I'm probably taking this out of context, looking at a property, a house or home, you talked about the market value.
Mm-hmm.
How is that figured in your evaluation?
The files.
Because why I'm concerned is the last few years it's been extremely volatile.
Exactly. Well, couple things with that is it's going to be 4 years before we implement our new values. So we're going to be looking at what things are selling for 4 years from now. Okay, so the volatility would have worked itself out, or it's staying at a level that it's at. And every town we've done revals in several towns in the last couple of years. We get that question a lot. The other thing this is doing is our valuations are based on the last reval in the 90s. So if you look at what your property is assessed at locally, it's what the property was worth 20 years ago. So we're changing not just the most recent influences on the market, we're talking about what's happened over the last 20 years here. But everything's computerized. The same software that we've used right along Trio, we would continue to use that. We'd utilize it till its maximum. There's other things that it does that we're not doing, sketching, things like that. But the idea, if everything's computerized, and say we do the reval and things do soften, with the computerized records, we can lower every value in town almost instantly. It's just a matter that you go into those files and you just turn down those per acres and per square foot costs. If everything's been dropped by 10-15% in the marketplace, we can relax our values very easily. In 2012, we had many towns that we revalued 2008, 2006, 2007, and when the recession hit back in 12-13, we were consistently over every sale that came in. And we probably had a dozen towns that we worked in where we ended up lowering the values across the board for everybody. So we were in compliance with this minimum and maximum standards. It was a lot better for the taxpayer to see I just spent $200,000 on a piece of property. The town has it at the 200, not at 240. But the mill rate changed to offset the lower value, but the tax burden didn't change. That's one thing we try to avoid in a recession, that your taxes go up even though your value went down. So it's built in there, Mike, so we can make those changes instantly.
Okay.
But the revaluation is not going to happen for 4 years.
Right.
So the next 4 years worth of work will be just basically correcting the record. You know, picking up everything that we had previously missed, or the town had previously missed. So we're not going to bring, like, Brent up to fair market value, and then, you know, and then next quarter bringing them up to fair market value. It's basically the only time something's going to change if the record is incorrect.
Right, but you had mentioned, well, probably not but you had mentioned if you see immediate improvements, like a new garage where there wasn't one before, that will be assessed immediately. You said.
Right, but at the schedule that we already have existing right now, if you did what you're supposed to do, you got a building permit for your garage, you know we're coming to see it in that spring. It's the same idea, but right now, if you build a brand new garage, every other garage in town is priced off that schedule that was created in the 90s. So again, the fairness issue would be whether we are out there visiting it because of the permit, or out there visiting it because of the quarter, and we realize something's omitted, we're still going to use that same cost. So it may cost $30,000 today, we may only have 20 on it because every other garage that size is assessed at that same number. So the fairness is what we really are concerned about.
What you're saying is there's basically no penalty, there won't be any penalty for finding something that was missed before.
Not from our office.
Right.
But that's not our. If we see something egregious, we see something on the water that's within the shoreline zone, we would let the town, we would let the code enforcement officer know. But I mean, we would be chasing our tail to figure out how did we miss it? You know, how did we not find that? Did they get a permit? It's not worth it. I think it causes animosity, so we just go with it.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting there should be a permit.
Yeah.
I just clear the record that it's generous not to have a penalty of some sort, in my opinion. I mean, fair is fair. If you rob a bank, you go to jail. If you don't, you don't. If you don't pay your taxes on something, I think just making it right is the least that we should do.
But the other part of that, at the statutes that we work with, if we assessed you a building value and then discover we need to supplement that building value for something that was omitted, that is illegal. We cannot do that. If we assessed you for no buildings and you had a building there, we can supplement that up to 3 years. But if there's a building value, we just grossly undervalued your estate. We can't. So.
What do you mean by supplement for 3 years?
You would get a separate additional tax bill for that building that was omitted at the mill rate for the last 3 years, due within 60 days. But that would be, we'd miss the entire thing.
Right, okay. Yeah, I know there's going to be, you know, if we do fall through, there's going to be a lot of questions from the townspeople. One thing I was thinking of, you know, I built this deck 5 years ago. I didn't think I needed to have a permit. Now there's a deck that's getting taxed on. I'm just, you know, how do we close that loop? I know you guys don't want to get involved with it, and I certainly don't blame you. Neither do I. But that's, you know, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but, you know, we're going to have a lot of people talking about this. And, you know, I think we all very much see the value in it.
And the other thing, too, is also, we get more grief the other way. Your old barn fell down, and you tore it down, didn't tell anybody. And we will obviously remove that from the record. And then you get your tax bill the next year. Well, that barn's been down for 5 years. Then people will get, you know, then I want my money back for it. It just doesn't work that way either. But, so it goes both ways. It really does. But most people are going to look at it that, honestly, they don't realize they get away with something. And they really can't fuss too much about it.
Right.
Because they get away with something for whatever reason. Our fault, their fault, no fault. It just happens.
Right.
This is pretty common. Like I said, we're doing it in Corinna right now. We're doing it in Bodenham. We're doing it in Jackman. I just gave a proposal for the town of Fairfield to do the same process, because it's a huge number to come up with all in one budget cycle.
So, out of curiosity, you don't have to give the specifics, but what was the impetus for those towns to go ahead and do this? Same reason that we're looking at it?
Same reason, yep. I mean, the market's been so flat for so long now, it's picking up so quickly, and it takes so long to implement anything that they're going to be at that failing standard before you know it. So they're just trying to get ahead of the curve.
So, clarification, if you could, more from my edification, I hope someone else will understand this also. So, we have, let's say, mill rate of 20. Excuse me. We go through the evaluation, let's say the first year, and we gain 1.2 million, just using numbers there, without changing the tax bills. How does that affect the mill rate? I mean, getting the valuation higher the way it's supposed to be, that will go down.
Right.
Okay,
When
the numbers will actually reflect more
Yeah.
realistic.
If we pick up, and just on a regular year, a year after discovery, if we pick up $1 million or two, I mean, it's 20,000, 40,000 tax dollars, but with the budget we have and the amount of total taxable that we have, it's not going to move the needle. It's just not going to move the needle. Those particular tax bills will be up for those individuals. It's just at the end of after the end of the discovery phase is done, and we change everybody's value. So and here in this town, there's not going to be a big shift. I mean, everything's kind of plodded along at the same rate. There's no waterfront here to speak of. There's no high-end anything here to speak of. So you can see a very methodical. All assessments went up by 20%. The mill rate went down by 20% because the budget really didn't change. You know what I mean? The budget's the budget. And higher value means a lower mill rate. That's when you're really going to see it. But you'll have some outliers, maybe people that will go up much more than that, and there'll be reasons for that. But it'll be minimized by the discovery. We've done revaluations in towns. We've done this all in 1 year, and things that were missed for 20 years. Not only are you changing the value and bringing it up to current, you're also picking up assets that were not assessed. That creates a huge tax burden shift, which is another good reason to do it this way. The person who's going to see a change significantly for whatever reason it's a more gradual change for them.
Okay. Good. Yes, Clarence, please.
I don't know how to quite say this, but you ever had people approach you that say somebody takes pride in this place because you're gonna in the end you're gonna evaluate their place what it be worth. So somebody takes pride in the place and keeps the place immaculate, and all updated windows, nice vinyl siding. The place has got a good value to it. But yet the house next door might be the same size or whatever. He's got tar paper on the sides and dilapidated or whatever. His value is going to be a lot lower, so he's going to be paying lower taxes all that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're almost, in a sense, punishing the guy that has a nice looking place. Now, granted, the only time he's going to benefit from that is when he goes to sell, if he does.
Right.
If he does not, he'd almost be being penalized. You'd better off have a top paper shack.
I can see how you think that. I mean,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, right, yeah. The property taxes.
What's wrong with society? It seems like sometimes you're penalized for dumping money in your place to have an immaculate place is worth something. You see what I mean?
And property tax is a tax on value sold.
Yeah.
And we're working on the same basic thought process for 250 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was a true sign of somebody's worth. The richer you were, the more property you had.
Right.
So we're still dealing with that archaic. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. That kind of just always hurt me that, the president takes pride in his place and has it up, gets penalized a little bit. Meanwhile, there should be a place that didn't keep that place up and let it run down and look like an eyesore.
Yep, absolutely.
But that's just me speaking out loud.
Councilors? Eric?
So the certified ratio, you said it needs to be between 70% of market value and 110% of market value.
Right. And we always shoot for 100.
So where are we right now? Where's the town position right now?
Well, it gets a little bit more of a story here. We're not at 100. And a couple of reasons. Well, everybody gets a homestead exemption on their property. Everybody gets that up to $25,000 off the value for your homestead. And the way we get 72 cents on the dollar back from the state of Maine, we being the town. You save $575 locally because you get a homestead. The town gets 72% of that lost revenue back from the state as a reimbursement. Okay, so we work on that law quite a bit. So what happens is every year, what gets us our normal certified ratio is we get a list of every piece of property in town that's sold. First, for any amount of money. We have to list out what type of property it is, how many acres it has, and our current land value and our current building value. And that's where they start running that ratio study. But they actually take it a step further now, is they will take just the residences from that sales study and do a separate study. All right? And they call that the developed parcel ratio. So basically, if everybody, we all get a homestead because it's all our residents. So they do a study of just the residences in town. And it gives you a developed parcel ratio, which can be different than your normal certified ratio, if you've got a lot of commercial, waterfront, what have you. We will get, well, next month, we will get a letter from the state letting us know what our developed parcel ratio is for this year. The law allows us to use the developed parcel ratio as our certified ratio. So everything gets adjusted by that number. But it also allows us to take that developed parcel ratio, because it's not a perfect science, and inflate that by 10%. So if our assessments are telling us that we're really at 91 or 92% of market value, we can add 10% to that and round it at 100. Okay? If we're assessing at 80%, we can give the state the declaration of an 88% certified ratio, and you get 88% of your homestead exemption. It's a little false security, because even though you're getting 88%, we're really at 80. And another step beyond that is the ratio of the study the state does to determine 2022 sales are late 2020 and early 2021 sales. So for April 1st of 22, they're looking at sales that are 18 months old. That's just the way it works across the entire state. We all have that lag. So we get a 10% bump up if we want to, plus we're dealing with sales that are 18 months old. So this year we're at 100%, but we will be nowhere near that. I should say that the year that we're in right now, for 2021, we are certified 100% because we were above 91. Again, with all the scenario, we're going to be much lower than that this year, and we will know in 6 months what we're going to be at next year. So that's the stagger that we have, and when you take, that's the stagger that we have.
Okay. So is there any hidden costs to the town as far as like extra admin time, get to put someone with the assessors? I mean, is there any, like, if your proposal comes in at whatever you said, $27,000 per year, whatever it is, not won't do that, but just as an example, is there any more incurred costs in town above and beyond that?
No. We do all of it. We do all of it. And there will be, part of what we do is if we have one particular property that we're missing something significant, we'll send them a letter. We've realized that your property, we have a threshold usually 15%. If your value is going up by more than 15% because of this new discovery, we're going to let you know before you get your bill. That way, one, you can plan on it. It's good practice for us. And if we made an estimate, if we made an assumption by bringing you up that high and we've mistaken, maybe we realized you had a garage, and we also thought on top of that garage was a bonus room. So we picked up both. Come to find out there wasn't a bonus room there, but we should be assessing you for a garage. We'd rather have you come in and tell us now before the bills go out, before they're wrong. And we'll correct it and correct all the records to go with it. So we like to let people know, because no one likes a surprise. Right. So we like to let them know that. Well, no, we cover all that. And part of that, too, is there will be potentially added time to our regular assessing agent duties, responsibilities. After the tax bills go out, people who didn't get a letter, they may want to come in. Why did my value go up $7,500? So they could put a little bit more foot traffic in our day-to-day upstairs, but we're not going to ask. We don't ask for any more in our assessing budget. We pick it up in that $27,000 a year. We expect another 3 or 4 days worth of work throughout the year to answer all these extra questions. So it's all kind of in there. Okay. Kind of keep them distinct and separate.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing the town would have to do would be if there's a module that Trio has that we don't have, like sketching, for example, we may ask the town to purchase that module, but that won't be until the project's completed, before we change all the values. But.
So you do 5-year, like you were to do a proposal for this, is it a 5-year proposal, or you do it year by year by year?
There's a 5-year proposal. yeah. It's just that we didn't turn it as a five-year agreement.
So you're locking in your costs now for the next 5 years.
Right. I averaged out what our typical increases will be salary-wise for the next 4 years for the court side, and just average it out, so it's the same throughout all of it. And anticipate, and I only have one copy, but I have a pseudo proposal for you guys to look over. I know it's a big money item, and I know you probably have an ordinance that it has to go out to bid. So, our responsibility as your assessor is to let you be aware of the efficiency that's coming and a good solution, but I give you a number, it's public, and if you put it out to bid, then we're going to be at the whim of everybody else to bid on it. But it's something I think the right thing to do as your assessor, let you know what you're up against. So I have something I'll give to Catherine, and she can hand out to all of you. You can look it over, and we can talk again, email me any questions that you have. But it's basically duties and responsibilities for the entire project, core reviews first, and then what the reval would entail. And the last page is a cost estimate that I expect it to cost you if you're going to go out to bid, and the payment plan, how it will be over the next 5 years. So I think it's pretty.
Well, that answered my question. Brett, you had something else?
You said you take building measurements. Do you also look at the lot, or do you just go by what the deed says?
We'll go by the records that we have right now for the land.
Okay.
There's really no sense in me doing that. That'd be way too much cost involved if we do that. I think the maps here are pretty good. We're in pretty good shape. Yeah. So all the frontages and acreages we'll take right off that we've been assessing right along.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you look at land improvement?
We would pick up a difference between a vacant lot and a developed lot. We add to the land value for it's making up for well, septic, lawn, driveway. We don't get specific. If you're a green thumb and you've got all these elaborate gardens and things outside, we do not do anything for that. That's more of a in the marketplace. It helps us house sell a little quicker. We have never really seen it sell for more, and it's more of a personal preference. Not everybody wants to put the time and effort in, so we have a flat number for vacant and developed.
Okay. Councils, anything else? Jason?
That's good.
Derek, you're all set?
All set.
Greg?
Good. Thank you.
Pete? Right. All right, well, that's some excellent information. Thank you very much. There's an awful lot to digest. We're looking forward to the information you give to us, and I think we all see the benefit of moving along with this, or at least giving it some serious thought and chewing on a lot more here in the near future.
All right, and if you need us to come back in anytime, we'll be any meeting you want us to come down, we'll be more than happy to come in.
Thank you. Yes, Heather.
Sorry, Heather Donahue, 461 Mud Road. I have a couple questions for you. You said that there were some items in the TRIO programming that you're not making use of now, that you might be adding functionality to that. Would one of those things be making a tax card available to the public? Right now, if somebody wants to purchase land here in Pittsfield, they either have to rely on a realtor to provide something, or they have to come to the town office and get the records themselves.
No, what I'm talking about is a tool for us. What TRIO does is they have a sketching program where you can actually sketch the building electronically. It does all the calculation for you. That way, the record, when it's given out to a taxpayer or potential taxpayer, it's all electronic. Valuation, breakdown, details, picture of the house, sketch. It's all in one asset. We have that capability now, except we don't have a sketch. As far as calculating the values, we have those. TRIO has the capability of putting it out there in whatever form that the town wants to use.
So once that is complete, the town can choose to put that as available.
Correct.
Because we do have the tax maps and the tax commitment book online, but that tax card portion is what's missing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question that I have is, do you have enough staff to do this? Because I know we only have staff 1 day a week, and you're talking about over 500 property visits in a year. And you've listed several other towns as you're in the process of this same type of project. So how are your staffing levels as far as being able to complete?
We are fully staffed. We have 13 full-time assessors.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last question I have is, when are you anticipating this beginning? Because the town has not budgeted for any increase in your contract rate for 2022. Is this a 2023?
Just a 23 or 24 start date.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Council, anything else?
I would just recommend doubling Kevin's hours so he can work more.
That'd be good. I second that. All right, well, thank you
Right, thank
very
you.
much for the presentation, greatly appreciated.
You're welcome.
I'm sure we'll be talking again and,
Okay, thank you.
thank you all very much.
I have this electronic, I'll email it to you.
Absolutely, very much. Yeah, thank you. Very good. Been a long session. I see you.
You want to fish and hunt.
Thank you, thank you, gentlemen. Yes, absolutely. We agree. All right, very well. Let's move on to B, the presentation regarding the town's budget and mill rate history.
Very
Can you
good.
have something for that, please?
Yes, in your council package and in the package that's online, we've been going through all the different reasons why the mill rate is as it is. And so we've gone through the budgets, we've gone through exempt properties, we've gone through what our valuation is, we've heard a discussion this evening from our tax assessor, which was very good. And so now the last piece is regarding the business equipment tax and the changes in the state law that took place in 2007. And of course we knew as we headed toward 2007 we would have an issue because the town for many years was around 80% or even a lower amount like 78.2% real estate and 21.8% personal property. And so if we look at today, 2021, we're at 94.6% is all real estate and personal property is 5.4%. Many reasons for that. There were some companies that left town, but the largest reason is that the laws changed so that many items were no longer taxed. And then when items that were older and depreciated quite a bit, then were sold by the companies or given away, and they bought new items, those items were not taxed. And then there are some categories that are taxed, and that's what's called the BETE, which is B-E-T-E. And so you can see as you go across that in 2007, there was a ratio in which we were reimbursed 100% of the cost of the BETE, and that doesn't include the other items that drop off because they were no longer depreciated, they were sold, and so when the company bought the new items in those categories, they were not taxed at all. These were the items that were taxed. So we got 100% of the taxes in 2007, and then by the schedule, it dropped down to 90% of the taxes were available to the town. So we lost 10% of the taxes. And then we went through 80, 70, 60, and then in 2013, it would have been 50%, but we are a community that has so much personal property, we got an enhanced rate. So we got 58.8% of what we would have received. So that meant we lost 41.2% of the taxes. And so I'm not going to go through all of the different categories. I met with Mr. Sally, who's a resident here in town and extremely knowledgeable on BETE, exempt properties, all assessing items. And so he was extremely helpful, and we talked about this as well as some of the other categories and items and charts that we had. He went over the chart, and then he used his municipal tax rate calculator and went through 2021, explained how it was done, which was very good. That was one question I had for him. And so he figured out that our BETE reimbursable rate was 56.7% for 2021. We lost 43.3% of what the taxes would have been just for the BETE. Doesn't include the other property that dropped off or is no longer taxed. Like some companies don't even get a tax bill or file anything to get a reimbursement because they're not taxed for any of their category. And so he figured that for that amount, just for the BETE, it was 78 to 82 cents plus is lost by the town, and that was for just the Betty. And so basically over $1 is lost on the mill rate because of the loss of the personal property because of the changes. And we knew back in the early 2000s that this was going to be an issue for the town because we had so much personal property. And so that has contributed to the fact that the tax rate and the valuation has shifted over so the residents pay more than the businesses do. But there is no homestead exemption for the businesses. So when the homestead exemption went up to $25,000, the shift in the taxes went back to the businesses. They paid the full 100%, and the citizens were getting a break, which was very good for the citizens. So there are so many different components of this. We heard one this evening from our tax assessor. We've gone through the different types of exemptions. The homestead exemption was explained on the percentage that we get back, but we still lose 12% now. We lost more previously. We lose 43.3% on our Betty. And then, of course, we talked about the budget and the change in the budget process, which increased the budget the last few years. So these are all components as to why we have a high mill rate. Added to the fact that the town has a very low valuation because so much property is owned by tax-exempt facilities such as Maine Central Institute. The hospital owns a lot of property. There's some doctor's offices that are not taxed. A lot of state property. The town owns a lot of property. And so all these things contribute to that. But of course, having all these facilities, even though they're not taxed, are facilities that make our town very rich. This gives you an overview of why the tax rate is what it is. And then another important component will be talking with the tax assessor more about going out and looking at the properties. We had Jim Phillips here, excellent, wonderful assessor for many, many years. He didn't even pay attention to the building permits. He did them, then he went out and looked around and found all kinds of things. But that's not always what has happened because we've had different assessors. So along with the need to make sure everything is fair, we have the drastic change that has happened in the valuations on what properties are selling for since last year. It's just unbelievable. But the big selling frenzy of people moving in from out of state has hit here, so we do need to move forward with a few projects. So that's your chart. Any questions, people can let me know. I think that's the last chart to be done. So that's good.
All right, if you want to continue into the
I shall do
economic
that.
development activities, please.
Yes, and in fact, the only item I'm going to discuss is an update that I have with the state of Maine on a program that we may be eligible for. And I did get a phone call back today, and the write-up that I provided in the town manager's report and the economic development report, I had noted that I had not heard back from the state on the new program. And so I did get to talk to the planners today, and hopefully we'll get a meeting set up next week for the town councilors in the evening. But basically, our town planner at Maine DOT, who covers the region, and the regional transportation planner talked about a program that we were advised of through the efforts of the state planner at MDOT and some discussions that they had with Peter Figure. And so this is an opportunity for a Main Street vision, as well as the opportunity to file a federal grant with the Maine DOT's assistance and approval. It's called a Municipal Partnership Cooperative Program. It will reflect more than all the building blocks of the projects that we put together. We've got many small grants, we've got some huge grants, and we, as the money became available, we applied for everything we could, so we've got quite a lot of money going into the Main Street, and the state has quite a lot of money. And so if we did go forward with this, which the planners will talk to the councilors about that and whether it's of interest or not, it would show in the planners' estimate a more balanced human level look at the entire downtown. Because right now we don't have a Main Street vision. We have all these projects, and it will be a great project because we've got the sidewalk, we've got benches, we've got a sewer project, we've got a road project coming in, but we don't have an overall vision and some of the projects that have been mentioned to us that would be helpful. So this project would provide a memorandum of understanding between the state and the town in which a request for proposals would be issued by the town to hire a planning group or a engineer or consultant to lead a Main Street visioning exercise and some other exercises. So a third party would come in, look over the town, and come up with all the items from talking with the citizens and the businesses that we should have in the downtown. And so the RFP and the planning process would generally be a 50-50 share, or in our case, the state told me today that because our valuation is so low, we might have a higher percentage, maybe 60 or 56 or what have you. But they would figure that out. Any projects that were applied for at the federal level would be at 80-20%, in which the federal government would pay 80, and 20% would be paid for by the town or Maine DOT or both, for whatever projects came forward. And at this point, we don't know what they would be. The pros are that this would be an amazing project. It would be a once in 100 years for the revitalization of the downtown. There would likely be some other items added. Pete Figure has talked to us and myself about, pulverizing the Main Street so that we actually don't have these concrete underneath that create so much trouble when we want to do a water sewer project or any project, and the town's going to try to crunch in the sewer lines in the places that we're going to fix with the concrete there and try to stay outside that area. So that's a positive. The cons of that, we have very little time because our project is supposed to go forward at the end of the year for the bids to be put out and have all the plans together. So if we did do a project, it can be done very quickly, and we're going to decide if we want to do it or not. So the state planners are interested in having an informational session with the town council, and I asked them if they could do that next week because time is of the essence. And when I met with Pete Biggu, he was clear that time was of the essence because this is a process that would take, 6, 8 months or 12 months. And so we got to sort of decide if that's something that we want to do or not. And to do that, we need to have information to see how this all fits together. We don't want to jeopardize the current project that we have because we waited so long for it. So this is an option, an opportunity to look at, and we definitely should look at all of our opportunities. So I'm waiting for the plan to schedule. I suggested next Tuesday for a meeting. They'd like to have a Zoom meeting. You all wanted it at 5 or 5:30 or what have you. So I told them it would have to be in the evening rather than the day, because, employees like the day, but counselors all work, so we need to have it at night, so that's fine, and they were very willing to do that. So we would set up an informational session or a workshop on an evening that would work for as many people as possible, and that it would be up to you all if you wanted to participate or not. I assume that most of you will. We'll probably have a few guests because it will be open to the public. Any meeting that we have with this 3 councilors present is a town council meeting of some sort. This will be a workshop. So if you're interested in that, I will set something up next week. It sounded like the planners were very interested.
Please.
All right. So that's what we'll do. It sounds very interesting. I'll send you a copy of the email they sent me just before 5 o'clock. They sent me a whole bunch of documents. I asked for an RFP that they liked, because we went out on the website and found quite a few, but we need one that MDOT supports. So they sent us one from the state of Maine that they liked. So I'll start working on that. Because if we're going to do this, then we've got to put the RFP out as soon as possible. And if it turns out we don't, I'll just have an RFP in the record here, in the books. All right, so that's what I found out on that. So thank you very much. That's the only item I'm going to mention. It's a big item.
All right, anything else on C, Catherine, that you wanted to cover? That was it?
That would be it.
Okay, we'll move on to public hearings then. If you would, Catherine, ordinance 22-04.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I think this will be the last long ordinance for a while. Ordinance 22-04, public hearing. Town of Pittsfield ordinance authorizing issue of up to $109,000 aggregate principal amount of general obligation bonds. The Town of Pittsfield Town Council hereby ordains the borrowing of up to $109,000 to finance costs of improvements to the town's water system through the State of Maine Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program on the following terms. Number 1, pursuant to the Constitution of the State of Maine, Maine law, including Title 30A, Section 5772, and Section 5953-D of the Maine Revised Statutes as amended in the town charter, and all other authority thereto enabling the town of Pittsfield is authorized to borrow from the Maine Municipal Bond Bank Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund, SRF, pursuant to one or more loan agreements between the town and the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, the bank, an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $109,000, and to extend the proceeds of the loan or loans to finance the improvements and upgrades to the town's water system, which may include, but are not limited to, the design and permitting work for sections of Berkeley Terrace and Library Street Main, the project, or such amount of the foregoing project as is approved by the state for participation in the SRF. It is expected that cost of Library Street water main replacement will be up to $52,000, and the cost of the Birchwood Terrace water main replacement will be up to $57,000. The town hereby approves and authorizes the issue, sale, and delivery to the bond bank as evidence of any loans and against payment thereof general obligation bonds of the town in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $109,000 for a term not to exceed 10 years, and any notes in anticipation of such bonds and notes to be executed on behalf of the town by the town treasurer and countersigned by the mayor of the town, and be at such interest rates, if any, as may be established by the bank and approved by the treasurer and the mayor, with such maturities, and to be on such further terms and conditions as may be prescribed by the bank and approved by the treasurer and the mayor, the bonds and the notes. Such approval to be conclusively evidenced by their execution of the bonds and notes. If the bank approves only some, but not all of the foregoing projects as eligible for funding under its SRF program, the town is authorized to proceed with the borrowing of the amount and project approved by the bank, even though the state may have approved only some, but not all of the project described above. Number 2. The mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town one or more loan agreements relating to the issuance of the bonds and any notes in anticipation thereof in such form and on such terms as the bank shall require, which loan agreement is hereby approved and may contain such other terms and provisions not contrary to the general tenure hereof as the treasurer may approve, with his or her approval to be conclusively evidenced by his or her execution thereof. Number 3, the mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town loan application and other applications to the bank for borrowing under its SRF program. Number 4, the mayor, the treasurer, and other municipal officers and officials of the town are hereby authorized to execute all documents and certificates and to take all action, including affixing the seal of the town as may be necessary or convenient to carry out the full intent of the foregoing votes for any one of them, and are hereby authorized and empowered in its name and on behalf to do or cause to be done all such acts and things as may be deemed necessary or desirable in order to effect the borrowing authorized herein. Number 5, the town expects to receive principal forgiveness in a total amount of up to $109,000, which consists of $52,000 for the Library Street water main replacement and $57,000 allocated to the Birchwood Terrace water main replacement through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund grant allocation, a portion of which has been funded by the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan allocation of water infrastructure funding from funds received pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 and/or supplemental drinking water state revolving loan fund subsidies. To the extent these funds are provided to the town in the form of a grant, the town hereby appropriates such grant funds to be applied to the project subject to the conditions of the funds to be administered by the Department of Health and Human Services Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention Drinking Water Program. Number 6, this ordinance shall become effective in 30 days.
All right, very well, thank you, Catherine. Since this is a public hearing, I need no motion from the council. So what I'll do is open up to the folks here present. Anyone here wishes to speak for ordinance 22-04? Anyone wishes to speak against ordinance 22-04? Very well. Anyone on the Zoom meeting wish to speak for or against ordinance 22-04? Very well. I hear none. Council, any questions or comments or anything you'd like to discuss on this ordinance? Certainly not the first time we've heard it. Everyone satisfied? Very well. So, I think we are ready to vote. Hearing nothing from the council, so I will ask the council to vote. All those in favor of ordinance 22-04, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Very well. Ordinance 22-04 has passed. Thank you all very much.
So who would we like to have make the motion in the second? Only because it's financial.
Okay. Very well. We have a need for a motion to accept the ordinance in a second.
Make a motion to adopt
public hearing.
ordinance 22-04.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, very good.
All set for your
Yes,
records?
the attorney will want
No,
that.
understood. Very good.
Thank you.
My mistake on that one. Thank you.
No, I know, there's a lot of items on the agenda.
Very well. Very well. Let's move on to reports. Council committees, Finance Committee.
We haven't met.
Very well. Ordinance Committee.
And
Very well. Recycling Committee. And no report. Do we have board and committee updates, Catherine?
We do not, thank you.
Very well. And if you would briefly review the town manager's report if needed.
I will be brief.
Thank you.
I'm out of breath from the ordinance. All right, very good. We had an exciting time with our computer upgrade, which we are mostly through in terms of bringing all the infrastructure up to date for the computers. We do have very old printers that are required by the state of Maine and some modules required by the state of Maine that are not taken care of by anyone. There's no one that you can call that can assist with those, but this issue that goes on throughout the state. And hopefully those units will be updated. You can no longer purchase those type of printers, but in order to process the state permits and licenses, we are required to have them. So we had a fun time as we converted over, and it's almost all done, which is great. So for new items and important reminders, the items that are listed in the second section are online burn permits, the transfer station stickers, the dog licenses, our online services, the online council materials, and of course the Reader Center. I won't go through all those. That material is very important. It's online for our citizens, and I just mentioned that because we have new citizens that tune into each meeting with all of the development that's gone in town and all the selling of the homes and everything. I did want to mention under current and upcoming activities number 7, we do have a special election coming up for a town council open position. That election will take place on Thursday, April 21st. It will be here in the council chambers. The position is for a council at large for a term that would expire December 31st. So whoever is elected will then become a member of the council, and if interested, will need to take out papers again in August for a future term. We also have MSAD 53's district public hearing. We asked to confirm that date so we could announce and help the state advertise the meeting, and so we were contacted by the school to confirm that date. That date is Thursday, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. in the Warsaw Gym, and then after the hearing, we're back to the two-part process for the school budget validation, in which there will be a referendum vote that will be scheduled in June. Likely and hopefully that will be with our state vote The primary and potential referendum election is scheduled for June 14, 2022. I wanted to note that we're back onto the Fenway Park project, which is great. Bill Cunningham is back in action. He has a new plan for the staircase, so that's really good. He has a boat slide for the boat launch, in which he's got a concept in which we will have a poured reinforced concrete staircase, so that is very good. He's working with Kleinsmith, who have been very helpful in donating their time, which has been great. If there are changes to the permits, we will need to go back through the planning board, DEP, Army Corps of Engineers, but I think we're experts at this now, and going through the whole process. And then once the permits are updated, Bill, Dr. Cunningham will go out, give some more project estimates. He will get the bid spec prepared, which then the bid spec will come to the council to put the project out to bid. He will solicit contributions, working with the committee and other individuals that are volunteering their time. Look for contributions from local donors, and then apply for any grants or projects, grants that we can find. So this is a great little project for the Fenway Park. Boat launch would be right in the center of town. And so Bill is re-energized and ready to go back into action. And then I talked about the MDOT New Village Partnership Initiative, and then the other program we found out about, which was the Municipal Partnership coordination with the state. I did want to go over quickly, because I know people are concerned and think that we should be able to take care of all of our water, sewer, and road construction costs. And so I just wanted to give you a little update on the overall costs that Annalise from Oliver Associates and I worked on. And this is very, very preliminary. But if we were to replace every sewer line in town that has not been replaced to date, every water infrastructure that had not been replaced to date, and every road that had not been replaced to date, the total figure of all these, and again, this is a preliminary figure using our current costs and using the linear feet of the items that we have in the records, we would be looking at an overall $127 million project. And so this is why all the sewer lines have not been replaced. There is no way to do that. All the water lines have not been replaced, and all the roads have not been rebuilt and paved. The breakdown for the sewer lines, and again, this is an estimate based upon certain hypothesis. If the work was done now and not done in 10 years or 20 years, the sewer was $32.3 million, and of course we've done a lot of sewer work, so that has helped us. We got the massive grant loan from the USDA because we had not taken care of those things over the years, because we had the lowest sewer rate in the state of Maine, and so it took a few years to get that up to a reasonable level. And then we got a massive grant and loan from the USDA at a time in which contractors were bidding very low prices because there was no work out there. We were very fortunate. We were able to take care of roads that had huge infrastructure issues, and this all started because the town was being dinged and told that if we did fix things, we would have to sign a consent agreement because we were in violation of all of our permitting requirements at the lagoon system. And so that was something that had gone on for a few years, and then when I came here, we started working on it, and it did take a few years to get to a point that we could move forward because we had to increase the budget, and we were fortunate to hire all of our associates that helped us quite a bit with that. So that's why some of the roads got dug up that, normally we wouldn't have dug up those roads because they had been paved a few years prior. But with the infrastructure infiltration that was taking place, it was causing permitting issues and problems with the sewer system backing up and everything, so we had to take care of that. For the water, we haven't been as successful because our water rates are very low. We think they're high, but they're low compared to the rest of the state, and the formulas in which you get your funding is based upon having high water rates and contamination. We don't have contamination, which is good. We don't want contamination. So we do apply for water projects, and we do get a few, but only very few. So that is 46.4 million. And then the roads are 48.1 million, because it's simply, there isn't money for the roads. There are no grants for the roads anymore. I think the last grants were back in the early 2000s. We were very fortunate when we did the industrial park addition. Our costs came in so low on the bids that we had to develop the road that the federal government allowed us to go down into the industrial park and rebuild the first section of the road, of industrial park street, from the Somerset Plaza all the way to the railroad tracks. And because we were able to do that, we had a wonderful project down there that's still in really good shape. You could see the rest of the industrial park street. They wouldn't let us go on the railroad tracks because they said it was too far away from the industrial park expansion. You could see the difference in the quality in the two sections. The second section down by Stinson, even though we did some rebuilding, is just not in the same shape as the first part. So since then, there haven't been any grants. We're hoping that with all the infrastructure money that's coming down through the different programs and everything, there'll be something. It'll be the first time in many, many years that there would be some funding available. Hopefully there will be. So that's just an idea of the overall cost, and the cost with our budget. It used to be 2.8 million, now it's like 4.2 million for the municipality. There's just no way you can fit in, 12 million a year onto that. It would be, your mill rate would be 3 or 4 times higher. So we plug along and do the best that we can. Try to finance and take care of the worst areas and apply for grants for the water and sewer, which we've been doing and moving along here. And so I will skip down. Exciting, just because this is coming up. We will have the speed trailer that will be coming to town. We applied for one and were approved by the state of Maine. So we will, in May, when that arrives, we will put it around town to shock people on how fast they are speeding. There's a few locations that will be going in, and the police chief, acting police chief, will be working with the Public Works Department on exactly where that should go and moving it around. We have it for 2 weeks, so that's good. We also have a speed sign that will blink that's being dropped off tomorrow at Public Works. They had an extra one. We applied for that a while back, and all these items that we applied for got held up because of change supply issues. But they did find an extra sign, so that will be put someplace. I think originally we talked about Pelhoma Avenue because of all the speeding on the way to the dump that takes place. But we'll look at that and see where we're going to put it. And so the council's got a copy of the applications for the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Program that Annalise from All Associates sent in. So you have a copy of all those. We applied because the deadline was coming up, and then there is no requirement if we were so fortunate to be eligible. It would be up to the town council whether we would proceed forward. We have a lot of loans going now, so we'll have to decide what to do. But your priority projects were Birchwood Terrace, so if we're going to replace the water line, it's likely the sewer line needs to be replaced too. So they were put in at the same time. And of course, we're going to need funding for the road repairs, so it will take a while because we're going to 3 different funding sources trying to finance our priorities, which are Birchwood Terrace and Library Street. And then we have other priorities from just water and sewer, and then for the road. And I think that's all I'm going to note. We'll have our assessor was able to place some values on the properties that foreclosed, and that will be coming up, so we'll start the process on that. The first step, of course, is to allow the people to purchase their property back, of course, and we would want to do that. In order to purchase property back, and we had 9 properties foreclosed. One has an assessing problem, so likely we will straighten that out. And that's something that went amiss when the property was split up. So the assessor will likely take care of that. The others are land, and there are 3 houses. The houses are older, but they seem to have more value than usual. But the first step is to have the parties have a time frame in which they would pay back all the taxes. And Unfortunately, when taxes foreclose, you don't want the people to have that happen, to call their house multiple times and send them letters and get the notices, but it still happens because of finances or other reasons. You don't pay back just 1 year. You would have to pay back all of the years in order to have a quit claim. So that means for the 2019 taxes, it's 2019, 2020, 2021, and then since we're past April 1st, 2022, as an estimate. So that will be difficult to do. Hopefully people can do that, so we'll start that process. And we will finish our computer services, managed services onboarding with a few items that we have left in working with the state in the hope that we can straighten out some of these little printers they require. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Catherine. So we shall move on to number 6, old business. These two resolutions were tabled at the previous meeting on March 15, 2022. So let's start with resolution 22-26. Catherine, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you. Resolution 22-26. Resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, to follow the state bid package for police cruisers and to accept the proposed bid of Quirk Auto Group of Augusta in an amount not to exceed $34,425 for a 2022 fleet/non-retail Ford Police Interceptor utility.
I'll look for a motion. Council, please.
Make a motion that we untable resolution 22-26 for discussion.
A second. On table and seconded. Very well. Let's have the motion on the resolution, please. Now it's on table. Before discussion.
Before discussion? Okay.
We need to have a motion on the floor, then we'll discuss, and then we'll move on that.
Make a motion we adopt resolution 22-26.
I'll second it again. Very well. Thank you, gentlemen. So I know there's some information that was gathered up. I know Amy had done quite a bit of data collection on that. The councils, you had an opportunity to look at these figures here. Actually, while you take a look at those, Mike, would you like to speak on that, or Marty, were you prepared to speak on this? Is there something that you wanted to present?
Yeah. Bob, I guess there's some question about whether we needed a vehicle. I wasn't here at the last meeting. My apologies.
No worries.
From what I'm aware and what we spent since I've been around, been here 20 years, unless it's changed, we get a vehicle 2 years in a row, and we skip a year. 2 years in a row, skip a year. I went back through and looked at the purchase agreements on the vehicles that we have and one prior, and so it showed that one vehicle was purchased in 2016, and then we skipped 2017. Vehicles were purchased in both 18 and 19, and we skipped 2020, and then we're on 21, so now we're going to 22. Did you have questions that I could
Well,
answer?
let's send it to the council. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Acting Chief Cochran on this?
I mean, I guess a little bit less of a cookie cutter approach to it. Is there anything? Is there a need? I guess. I mean, is it? I know it has 90. The car we're talking has 93,000 miles on it. It's a 2015. Is it rotted out? Is it frame dead? Is it transmission slipping? Is it burning oil? Like, is there anything like that, or is it just? Are we just trying to follow the schedule that we set based on just something? Which I don't know what that schedule was set on, but
Just trying to follow the schedule. We have two primary vehicles that we use the most for patrol.
okay.
The newest vehicle has about 26,000 miles, and the next newest vehicle has 80.
Yep.
And we've had it 3 years. So we just try to get them updated. We do have some, they go through repairs, they go through general maintenance.
Okay.
But the newer the vehicle, and obviously the less you're gonna encounter those issues.
Right. So the new vehicle, does that get rolled into a patrol car?
Excuse me.
Does the new vehicle get rolled into a patrol vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, so then the car with 80,000 miles becomes the chief's vehicle.
Theoretically, we've got 4 vehicles right now.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, it would go down. It'd probably be used either for the chief's vehicle or it could be used for a third vehicle as far as like details. We have 1 vehicle we use for school resource officer.
Yep.
So different programs. Sometimes we have more than 1 person on. Somebody might need to go to training, might need to go to class. It's good to have that other vehicle because it's good to have 2 primary vehicles because if one goes down, you get another vehicle.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with that. Yep.
That answers your question.
So is 100,000 miles like a target for us, or is that what state police use, or what's the kind of the industry standard? You or Mike or whoever.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question. I don't know.
I don't know industry standard, but even a personal vehicle gets to 100,000, you want to get value for it, you can sell it, it's still worth something.
Right.
And you're trying to avoid maintenance costs and issues. And I mean, we're not talking about a residence vehicle, we're talking about a police vehicle. You need it dependable, you need it reliable. When you need it to work, it needs to work. So, 93,000 miles, yeah, maybe you can get another year or 2 out of it. I have no idea. It sounded like last year when we were talking about it at the finance committee meeting, there were a lot of issues with the chief's car itself. So, I mean, I think that's, if you stick to the plans, it makes sense. You got another one that's almost 100,000, then you have one that's like right behind it. So, I mean, I don't think I'd want to run these vehicles into the ground when they're emergency vehicles.
So one thing I like to state in the record is that the council from the previous sessions had already approved the purchase of this cruiser. And I know we have what we're looking at here on the second sheet. 2016 purchase vehicle, 17 a year off, 18-19 purchase, 20 year off. I mean, I'm repeating what you had said, Chief Falcon. So we are scheduled to purchase a new vehicle, and as you mentioned, Jason, there's a good point to add is that the one that's being used as the chief's vehicle now it's getting worn. And if you have your own vehicle, that's one thing. If it breaks down, it's a pain. However, you don't have people's lives or safety at risk. But, I personally agree with the previous council's decision to do this. But the reason why we've gone through this iteration is a very reasonable request. Is what are the costs on keeping these vehicles on the road? What would we anticipate? Can we essentially budget-wise buy another year before we have to do this again? That's another 32,000 that we could put onto something else. Things are tight and everyone's doing that. So that's the reason why we're looking at this. Mike, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, the current vehicles are starting to get up there mileage-wise. So if we skip a year now, don't pick up a vehicle right now, those vehicles are going to have a lot more miles on them. And I don't know just what the reason is, but it seems to be, and Marty, maybe you can substantiate with this a little bit. It seems like we're putting on more miles on vehicles. We've got some guys out there that are working hard, and they're putting more miles on vehicles. We get more calls, more travel. There's a lot of things that add up to that extra mileage. The vehicles we have, it's like Councilman Hall says, they've got to be up in shape. I mean, if I'm going to go 80 miles an hour across the road, I want something underneath me that's I feel comfortable and safe in. And we really need to look at that. I mean, that's a big factor in why we need to keep replacing these vehicles. It's not like your personal car, like you said, where you can put 130, 40, 50,000 miles on and still, I'm driving 200,000 on it. I still feel comfortable in that. I wouldn't want to go 80, 90 miles an hour in it, but I feel comfortable in it, in routine travel. But when you're out there and you got to get somewhere, sometimes that makes a big difference.
Very good.
Yes, Brent.
Just looking at that, though, roughly, you take your vehicle total ages there, if you add them up. Person's 3 years old, 1 year old, 4 year old, 7 year old. We'll say a total 15 years there. Then if you add up the mileage, you got roughly, we'll say, a little over 300,000. So that comes out about, you're only putting about 25,000 a year on vehicles total. So if you were to spread that out amongst the 4, you ain't putting that much on each one of them. Right? Am I doing the math wrong here?
Well, I had looked at that.
I think you're
that
trying to
way.
straight line it, Brett, instead of.
What's that?
I think you're trying to straight line it because they're putting probably 35 or 40,000 the first few years when it's on patrol, and then they dump it into a secondary position. I agree with that. I know what you're saying.
Right, but if you-
as an average,
If
straight
you
line.
average it out, spread it out, you know.
Right.
So you get a new vehicle, you're gonna pound all 30,000 on a new vehicle? I don't think so. Well,
I think there's-
you're right, you're not running the fleet right.
Which one's being phased out? The chief's car at this point?
Yeah.
I just call it, I'm looking at the hours.
Yeah.
Hours, I think, mean a lot more than miles sometimes, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
miles are 25 miles an hour around town or what have you. But when you're looking at 24,000 hours versus, 15,000 hours, 16,000 hours, and you say one of them's used for a school resource officer, right? And so that's going to be primarily low speed or moderate traffic. I mean, I probably would be looking at like that 2017.
But you're also, there's only one guy on patrol each day, right? And then you have the school guy.
Sometimes we have two, like, if we're up to staff, you got the chief who's on, then you have the duty officer during the day.
Right.
And then in the evening, the way it had been in the past, the sergeant would be on and plus the duty officer. And then, depending on the night shift, most of the time the night shift you're on by yourself, yes. So, but there's usually two people on a lot of the shifts, and then, like I said, we got school resource officer, we try to send people to training, try to send people to different, functions that we can do.
So during the day, 3 cars realistic in use and 1 backup, which would be, I think that's a realistic.
Yeah, Jason, please.
Isn't this a conversation for the next budget period? We already approved this one. Well, I guess I don't understand why we can just go back and retract the fact that we already approved buying this new vehicle.
But we haven't approved it, that's why we
Well,
tabled
we
it
did.
for
Well, we
discussion.
budgeted for it.
It was budgeted, but it hasn't been approved. That's the disconnect. I mean, the question came up
Right.
about this is that, it was a question on whether it's a 2-year or 3-year cycle. Can we buy another year, maybe 2, if we just continue the repairs on it? And that's the meeting, that's a culmination
Right,
of
okay.
that question and all the research that's been done.
All right, so my follow-up is, this is why we're kind of where we are, where we're at. You got roads falling down because we budget for it, but then we never approve it. We got vehicles falling apart because we budget for it, we never approve it or buy it. You got dump trucks, you got 1 tons, you got fire trucks, you got water, you got sewer, you got all this stuff. We budgeted for it. We spent 6 months last year going over a budget to work towards a plan. And then you get a new council and, well, to hell with that plan. We'll just, let's save 34 grand. But that 34 grand doesn't go anywhere else. It's still in the police budget. I can't take it out of there and throw it on the road. So I guess I don't understand.
We can put it towards the road, right?
No, you can't.
Well,
It's allocated for the police budget.
it's allocated in the police budget. The budget has been approved.
Right.
The purchase of this has yet. But as a follow-up to you, the question was made, can we buy another year? Do we have to spend $34,000 out of this budget for a brand new one? Can we possibly keep it on the road another year or 2? And that's why great expense and time has been put into get all this information that we have here, all the maintenance costs.
Right.
You know, so they're reasonable maintenance costs. I mean, it was a question brought up by the council, and I thought it was a legitimate question to do. It's part of the process. So this is where we are now.
All right. Yep.
Well, point made, and personally, I agree with you.
I mean, yeah.
But it's part of the due diligence, you know, to
So next
try to
year
be
when
fiscally responsible.
Right. But next year when they both have a bunch of issues or go belly up, then we got to pay $70,000 versus $35,000, which is a lot of the things that we talked about during budget time. Spread this money out so you're not jacking the budget all in 1 year.
Right, and that's why we have the 3 years, 1 year off,
Right.
2 years,
Exactly.
1 year off, 3 year cycle.
And it's the same as what Mr. Duplessis talked about, spreading that over 3 years versus 1 year.
Right. Yep.
I mean, you have a plan, just work to it.
I agree.
But you're still not buying it on facts, you're buying it on a time cycle. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it just due to, you've locked in at those times, that's when you want to do it.
We were given facts last year of the issues he was having.
If you look at the maintenance cost, they're only about $4,000 and $5,000 for the last 2 years. 2019 was a big year, but, so even if you was to bump it off a year, and by next year, they all go up a year older. You got one that'd be 4 years old, 2 years old, 5 years old, and then you buy the new one, be 8 years old.
You know, Brent, the way I look at it, you and I are in the same industry. And any dollar you put in preventive maintenance is worth $100 in the repair. This is considered preventive maintenance because, you know, God forbid it gets to the point where it absolutely needed and we don't have a vehicle. Not only for response, you know, but for the safety of the officers. I mean, this is the same reason why we bought the vests and we try to keep the good equipment in the training.
Right.
And, you know, and I'll reiterate, as Council Hall had mentioned, this already has been budgeted. It's not like it's going to be a fiscally painful thing to do tonight. You know, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I'm of the same ilk, but it gets to a point where you have to pay to play in a way, if you know what I mean.
I'm just looking to save because I know her sewer and water repairs this summer's going to go a lot higher, I think. So we're going to get less bang there.
Right.
I mean, I guess I'm going to speak for myself here and say that I didn't want to withhold or hold this vote back to maybe deny it necessarily, more so just to be fiscally responsible and for us as this new council to be able to say, when we put our yes on it, right, because we're the ones approving this purchase, that to the citizens of Pittsfield, we had actually seen the information that was provided, and then we can make an informed yes. I mean, I don't think any of us here want our police in dilapidated vehicles or not able to respond should one of us or one of our loved ones, you know, need them. We would obviously want that to be able to happen. But at the same time, I feel that I would want my council to see this piece of paper and understand what they're voting yes on. That's all I was going to say.
All right, very good.
Okay, quick on that?
Yes.
Very quick.
Briefly, please.
So it was a good exercise. We used to put this information together back for the council in the budget process, and then they decided they didn't want it way back. So we can compile this for the future budget process. I think that would be very helpful. I was pleased that we didn't have any amazing costs. We only found one vehicle that had trouble, and then it seemed to straighten out the next year. We didn't find a lot of costs for any of the vehicles in 2020, 2021. We couldn't allocate every single expense, but by looking at them, we could figure out estimating which vehicles they were for. So we're fortunate that we've had a very low cost for a number of years on the vehicles. I can't guarantee we would have that next year or the year after if we kept the same vehicles because they'll be older. But we'll make sure that when the police ask for repairs on the vehicles, everybody's agreed they're going to make sure they have the car number on there. Then we'll know we can allocate it. They'll have charts set up in the police department be a quick exercise. And the other departments have been told they need to do this too for the vehicles. And so you'll have that information for the budget like we used to, and that'll work out good.
Well, all departments should have it for every major piece of equipment.
Yeah,
not
they
just
should.
vehicles. We should be able to try, shouldn't have to go through this gyration the last few weeks on getting this information.
Well, we
I'm
do.
not picking on the police department, every department in this town should have that, every single one.
Yeah, we used to have it, and so we'll have it
Yeah,
again.
very good. Craig?
I was just gonna say, the vehicles will have a unique number not carried over, correct? Where each vehicle has a unique number, something like that, asset number. Because
we'll
like,
be able
I'm
to-
just looking at
Yeah.
2019, it's, you know, the triple asterisk, it says car number 2 had X problems. But if I look at car number 2, it's a 2020, which wasn't even in the fleet obviously at that time. So,
The simple way to do that, the first two digits like 22-01. So the first vehicle we buy in 22 will be 22-01.
yep.
So that number will never be used again.
Yeah,
Just something like that, something to
Yeah.
consider.
Yeah, just unique asset number, that way we can see exactly what we're talking about.
So before we close out, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this in-house? Anyone on the Zoom meeting? Very well. Anything else, councilors? Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution, where am I? I'm sorry, resolution 22-26, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Very well, we will go through and go separately. We will start with Councilor Frost.
I don't nay.
Councilor Deputy Mayor Lodgedice.
Aye.
Councilor Jester.
Aye.
Councilor Saucier.
Aye.
Councilor Hall.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So at a vote of 5-1, it passes resolution 22-26. Catherine, if you would please, resolution 22-27.
Resolution 22-27 on the table. Resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, to accept the proposed bid from Yankee Communications in the amount of $10,365.49 for equipment to outfit a 2022 Ford Police Interceptor utility.
One motion from council, please.
Just make a motion to remove 22-27 from the table, untable it.
Second.
Been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Very well, it's been moved from table. I'll look for a motion for
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 22-27.
second. Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments, councilors? That is related hand in hand to the previous resolution 22-26. Anyone in the audience on Zoom or here? Questions or comments? Council? Very well. Hearing none, I sense a ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-27, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-27 passes. Thank you very much. Let's move on to number 7, new business. Catherine, if you would, please, resolution 22-32.
Resolution 22-32, resolved that the town council accept the bid of blank in an amount to not exceed blank for a garden tractor mower for cemetery mowing.
I'll look for a motion from the council.
And we adopt resolution 22-32.
Second.
You want to fill in the
I
information?
was trying to find that information. I'm trying to,
Page 67 in the packet,
oh, there we go.
I believe. Is that the, yeah, it is. Yep, page 67 of the package.
You are correct, and there is a chart there.
And we're going to go with the lowest bidder. that what we're
I
gonna
would,
discuss?
yeah, I would hope so. Those are good for you, indeed.
So it's gonna be, I move we adopt resolution 22-32, to accept the bid of Greenway Equipment and Sales in the amount of $4,050 to the garden tractor mower, not to exceed.
Are we ready to go there? Or there's two different tractors here.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was,
Okay.
that's why I was wondering if we were gonna discuss it before we added that in.
Can I, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, no, hold on one second. We have a motion for discussion that's been seconded. So, Peter, would you like to add some on this to try and clarify details?
Do you mind if I say it?
Please,
I
please do.
And I'm not giving a quiz to the two new councilmen, like I did to the older ones. I will. How many cemeteries does Pittsfield have to take care of?
3,
Huh?
4, 5.
Thank you very much.
There comes John.
See, I didn't have him in school. His sister would have got it just like that. I will stand. I was instructed that I did that wrong for the bids. Okay? I should have put it up just for the two X590s. What I wanted to do was, I was looking at trying to save money. So I was looking at what Peter said, the 4,000. I was looking to buy two at that rate, which would be 8,000. But I said, I was instructed I did it wrong. So that shouldn't be there. What should be there is the X590s.
So for this first resolution, 22-32, we're looking at the two quotes for the X590s.
Yes.
And for the next resolution, 22-33, we're looking at the X370s.
No. I wanted to buy two, shorter deck. If I could buy two at 4,000,
Okay.
that's 8,000. It'll last me a little longer, because it's not like mowing your lawn. I mean, if you take Peltomer Avenue, I have right now two X590s mowing. The two X540s I have, one's cannibalized and the other one's close to be cannibalized.
Peter, I'm gonna stop you right there. I want to get the details into this motion.
Okay.
And then we can have that
The
discussion.
X540s.
So according to this chart that you helped fill out,
Yes.
we have two prices.
Yes.
Both for X590.
Right.
Those are the ones, those are the numbers that are in resolution 22-32. Correct?
Yes.
Thank you. So Deputy Mayor, would
Okay.
you like to rescind the previous motion
I'll rescind
and
the previous
remove
motion.
with this detail in there, please?
Yes, I rescind the previous motion for resolution 22-32 and make a motion to adopt resolution 22-32 to accept the bid of Greenway Equipment of Bangor in the amount not to exceed $7,275 for a garden tractor mower for the cemetery mowing.
I have a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Any particulars you want to add to that, Peter?
As I was saying, with three X590s, it'll take, I'm not supposed to mow anymore. I've got a full pro. We won't mention. But I have four retirees. I make the fifth retiree. It would take us 3.5 days with three X590s just to do Peltomer Avenue. Come on. Because you can't back up and mow. Not legal. And you're going around and through and around, because insurance says you can't back up and mow. You can do your own yard, but you can't do a municipality. So having those three will do a great job, and with my other guys working trimming, because the old X590 I have is getting close, and that's 6 years. That's 1A, that's probably 6 or 7 years, and it's been worn out. And we cannibalize the 540s that we have, we can fit some of those parts in, so we don't have to go and buy a lot of parts. They stand up. It's not a commercial one, but it's high for personal use. And we try to bathe them every week with oil, maintenance. I have a great maintenance guy up to the town garage. He keeps track. He knows each mower, what he's done to it. We have mulching blades. I have to replace those, but I was just looking at the 370 before to see if buying two would have been better. I don't know. I don't have any statistics to say how it would stand up. But I was just looking at, and what Mr. Frost was saying, I buy on time. Try to go every 3 years. I try. The first mower I got down there that I cannibalized was there when I got there. And that's 15 years ago.
How many hours do you get on one of those?
Right now on the newer one I had 3 years ago, I babied it because it's when I run, I got about 700 hours on it.
It still runs?
Yeah, because you've got to, well, it depends on how many stones I hit. It does.
That's not the insurance policy either.
Because you're looking to your right, and all of a sudden, out of somewhere, I don't know where it came from, but you stop, you stop quick.
I can imagine.
You do stop quick.
That rock is something.
And, yeah, it's just, and during the spring, we're finding out, one of the older guys that joined us today is going to find out that some of the stones move up that weren't there last year. But I have 4 great gentlemen working full-time starting today. And so.
I'm not trying to drag this on, but just for education. In the mowing world, obviously zero turns are like taking over. And I think you probably already answered my question with the stones moving miraculously. So I think
We tried zero turns.
It doesn't work.
No.
Okay.
You can do it in what we call a football field and the soccer field,
Right.
wide open.
Straight and fast.
But boy, I'll tell you, the first time I get on one, I come around the corner and I go, okay, that wasn't cute. And backing up, and yeah. And then somebody said, well, try one you stand up. I have a hard time standing up, just getting up. So, but we tried the zero turns, and we just found, well, the people that I had before said, we can't do that for you. And I tried it. And I know I've seen people over in the other cemeteries in Burnham and Detroit. Well, they're a better man than I am, or person, excuse me.
Good catch. All right, councils, any other questions, comments? Is this budgeted item?
It was coming out, am I correct? The trust fund.
This is out of the budget?
Yes, it's in the budget
Yeah,
for
very
the
good.
trust fund.
Very good.
And may I ask a question, Catherine? Now, will that money be moved from the trust fund into an account?
We'll pay the bill from the trust fund.
Okay. Let's see, prove it, I'll have to go talk with them.
Any other questions or comments, council? Very well, hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 22-32 to accept the bid of Greenway Equipment Sales in the amount of $7,275 for a garden tractor mower for cemetery mowing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-32 as noted passes.
Thank you very much.
Before we go on to resolution 2233, any surprises with that one?
Transfer of money.
Okay, very good. Catherine, if you would, please, resolution 22-33, please.
Resolution 22-33, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to transfer and expend blank from the Bar Harbor Cemetery Capital Improvement Account EL 7-127-00 and known as pit number 2 for a garden tractor mower for cemetery mowing.
Now, before I look for a motion, that, for clarification, that will be the amount that was just approved for the tractor. All right, so I'll look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-33 for the expense amount of $7,275.
Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Any questions or comments? Anyone in the audience or online have any questions or comments? Council? Very well. Hearing none, it's ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-33, noted to expend $7,275, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 2233 passes as noted. Thank you very much. Catherine, if you would, please, resolution 2234.
Resolution 22-34, resolved that the town council accepts a bid of blank in the amount of blank for the Main Street pump station upgrade, authorize the expenditure and transfer of funding from pit number 5 sewer projects reserve, and authorize the town manager to execute the contract for same.
Goes for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 22-34 for the town council to accept the bid of Stevens Electric and Pump Service of Monmouth, Maine in the amount of $73,128.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Any questions or comments on this? You see that there is just the one bid. What question? You got this proposal, correct?
Yes, so basically we did put this out to bid, and we unfortunately only got one successful bidder. One company emailed it to me personally, which they weren't supposed to do, so that validated the bid, and they couldn't get it here in time. And then another company, I guess it got stuck on the FedEx truck and didn't show up to the next day. The one that got sent to me was quite a bit higher than this bid. I never knew what the one that was late was, but it was very clear that they couldn't be late. This is the company that came initially. Their price is higher now than what it was several years ago when Chris tried to get pricing. Some of the reasons is it wasn't an explosion-proof pump that was being specified, and it really needs to be. And the panel, the materials for the panel, some of the components weren't really industrial standard, they were more residential standard, and things have gone crazy in the last couple of years as far as pricing on things. So I think they'll do a great job. They're doing similar work for us in another community right now.
So you work with them before?
Quite a bit, a lot.
So with no other numbers compared to, I know it's just throwing a dart at it, but what's your feel for the price that you got from this company as compared to what
they're very
this was expected?
reasonable. They are being more reasonable than pretty much everybody else, because they do both the electrical and the pump installation and the repair, pretty much the whole thing themselves. I think that's why they're hard to compete with. The other bid is also from a good company that we got, and that one just came in an email and I saw it, so it was $115,000. And I'm pretty sure the other one would have even been higher. So I think it's a fair price. It's just there's a lot wrong with the station. They're basically rebuilding the whole station. It's all brand new pumps and rails and lifting mechanisms and the control panel and wiring. It's almost like you're rebuilding a station. If you were to do it with like an engineer bid, and had put this out to bid, like with an engineer design, which we chose not to do, to try to save money, you're talking, you probably would have been paying twice this amount, so.
Twice at a minimum.
Which sometimes you need to do that, but this was so simple and such a small station, I just didn't want to see us spend that kind of money.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments, council? Anyone in the audience, anyone online that has any questions or comments about this resolution? Nothing else, council? You're all set? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-34, the bid of Stevens Electric, the amount of $73,128, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-34 passes as noted. Catherine, if you would please, resolution 22-35.
Resolution 22-35, resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals for the 2022 road paving program and authorize the town manager and public works director to seek proposals for same and issue addendum if necessary.
I'll look for a motion from council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 22-35.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. So this has, we have the backup for that, I believe, Catherine?
Yes, there is a road paving program, RFP, which is the approved RFP that we've utilized for a number of years. We have inserted roads from the priority listings in discussions with all of our associates for the roads that are in the in-town area, urban area that have water and sewer, and then reviewed all of the roads in the countryside and chosen out some roads that require work, which are on the priority listings. And so the bond bank requires that we be out to bid, and they would like to have the bids in order for the town to proceed forward with the with our loan, which we have authorized. And so this does need to be out to bid. We chose the roads that we believe there will not be any issues on. There are a couple that are being reviewed for sewer work that will be in shortly. And if anything did show up, which we don't believe will, we can easily take the road off. As you know, the costs for paving, construction have drastically increased and unfortunately are hitting our, request for proposals in which we were going to spend up to $1 million. And so the roads that are listed here will be under $1 million if they are the same price as what the prices were last year. But we're hearing prices that are double or triple or up to past $100,000. So it's likely we'll have to take roads off the listing anyway. If we didn't have to and actually could add roads, which I don't believe will happen, or keep the same list, there's plenty of roads that we could add on. So normally when we go through this process, we add or subtract when we get the bids to see what's going to happen, and the same thing will take place this year. Hopefully it won't be as shocking as we think it might be.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Anyone on the Zoom call have any questions or comments? Very well, council. Very well.
So, I can,
Yeah, I guess.
with these, we can add and subtract from this list you said,
We can,
in
yes.
the future?
Yes.
So we're simply just
We're approving just going out.
approving the vote.
We're just going on, we're going to find out what's going on. We may need to rebid, based upon the economy and what's happening with the diesel and the unleaded. But we need to get going. We're supposed to have this out to bid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we need to go. And the earlier you go, the better usually,
Yep.
because there's not a lot of work out there.
That was all I had.
Had a question over here? Yes, Jason.
Yeah, I got a couple. Annalise, you gave this to us a while back. When were some of these numbers done? Like, I see some of them, I guess they were never really checked, but they're maybe original water and sewer.
Right,
on
some of them are original, some because of the mapping and history, we don't know the dates.
Right.
And we need to kind of fill that in as we learn.
Okay.
And the areas that Catherine and I have talked about, all the ones that we don't have information on, we are doing video work right now. So the timing will work for what Catherine's trying to propose. If we have to drop something, we'll know whether or not there's a sewer issue within the week, I believe.
Right.
We've done this week.
I see something like Crosby Street says that the water is fair.
And basically because of the material, but we haven't had a lot of issues there. Like was said before, we probably can't afford to fix every single cast iron line. I'm just not going to put my, on the line and say, I think cast iron's great.
Right.
Because it's cast iron, it's brittle, it's old, but you can't replace it all.
I'm just kind of curious, like if we, say we go to pave Crosby Street, and, I mean, I guess you wouldn't really see the water. I'm just kind of wondering if once you get into something and then we run into like a water issue or a sewer issue, are we going to have the funds to then address that when we run into something that we didn't necessarily expect?
So there isn't any history of a problem with the water system. The sewer, there isn't either, but we're able to check the sewer. There's a process by which we can check it and know. The water is a bit more difficult to figure out if there are issues or not. Generally, there's leaking. Over the last 20 years, we haven't noticed leaking in certain areas of town, but others we have documented what we've noticed.
Okay.
I wish there was a way we could check the water, but there isn't.
An easy way. Unless you want to dig it all up, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
When we originally looked at these things, we had Lancy Street, which is a high traffic.
Yes, we did, and we wanted to do that road. When Public Works went down and when I went down, the amount of damage that's happened over the winter is astonishing. There is clay coming up in the road, so this is going to have to be a reconstruction project. We can add it back on the list, but I think any paving company that's worth their salt will say, look, this isn't going to work for reclaiming or for grinding. You need to rehab this entire road, or at least part of that. So I took it off. It was here. We went out and looked at it. The damage is just substantial. It needs to be engineered and reconstructed, in my opinion, and in others. But we can put it back on. I mean, I wanted to do it.
No, I just noticed the difference, so I wasn't sure what was
we
going on.
definitely wanted to do it. It may be that it's a section that we can do, but we should have an engineer go through and look at it.
On these county roads, when we're doing those full reclaim, full depth reclaim, are we going to go with engineering services as well, or is it just?
We don't really need engineering. The companies know how to do it. They bring the big machine in and everything. We will have Public Works out there observing what's going on.
And Public Works is going to ditch these roads where they can prior to all of this?
Yes, and they bought a big culvert order through their Kennebec Valley Council of Governments so that we can get going on this. They've looked at these roads and they understand that if these are your priorities, they're going out to work.
Okay. And the culvert work's different than the paving work, right?
Yes.
Like, because the culvert on like the Webb Road is sunk, so that needs to be replaced, but that's kind of separate from all this.
Let's see, there's different culverts.
Well, the one
there's the big one
by the railroad track.
Yeah, this is the back part of the Webb Road.
Right.
If it was the whole Webb Road, all our money would be gone.
Right.
So this is the worst section of the Webb Road down by St. Road coming back to Berry Road. And when you put items out to bid, you want to have them consolidated so the paving company isn't running all around everywhere. And so Berry Road has issues at the beginning. And then Beans Corner is really bad, so this is the worst section. The citizens deserve to have to work out there.
Well,
and then you talked about Spring Road, and that definitely has.
That's awful. So I drove all these today, and one of the roads that wasn't on here, I know we're looking at like $2 million already. So we understand that we're not going to be able to do it, but one of the roads I'm kind of curious about is the Powers Road. I don't know if anybody has driven that road before. but you are kind of taking your life in your own hands on some of that.
I live on Sandy Pond Road, I got today.
Well, I bottomed out 3 times and I fishtailed once, and I was going, 15 miles an hour below the speed limit. So that road is incredibly dangerous. It'd be nice to see it on there just to have a ballpark. And then just in general, just kind of seems stupid, but maybe it's not so stupid, is like on the Berry Road, that's not a very high traffic road. It's a dead end road. Is that, and I agree, it's in bad shape. Is that something that we could really bring back to a dirt road for a number of years, grade it 4 or 5 times a year? I feel like it's going to be better than what they've got. And financially, we could actually do it. Right now, I don't know how
It could be done.
ridiculous that sounds, but
No, it could be done, and we've talked about that. I think we have very unhappy people on the road, but it is doable. We just need somebody who can run a grader properly or find a grader company that can do the grading properly.
yeah. So I
After
mean,
the
that's not
gravel.
something we'll decide tonight anyway. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you want to
Interesting
add,
thought, though. I hadn't really considered
It
that.
seems odd in a lot of cases, but I don't know. Maybe that one is one that it may work.
The,
but-
the only thing I'm worried about that, if that happens and the pavement comes off, it becomes another dirt road, I
And
live
that
on
goes-
Sibley Pond Road, that,
Right, and that
that,
goes-
that presents
Yeah.
a myriad of other problems.
No, I understand.
especially in the spring.
Anyway,
So do you want to add like a section of Powers Road, half of it, or?
yeah, a lot of it. I didn't like stake it out or anything,
But can we move forward with this? I mean, there's enough here that we'll never even touch half of this. Do you think that's higher priority than the highest priority stuff on here?
yep. I put it way higher than Berry Road. I put it higher than the Crawford Road. I put it higher than North Lancy Street. I put it higher than Waverly. I put it higher than Nichols Street. I put it higher than
All right.
probably half of these
It's
on
not
here.
going to hurt to add another one, so do you want to do the entire Powers or half of it?
Well, I guess
I think we need to have, some input, some professional input on that. And
Public Works will go out
Public Works.
and measure
Take a
everything.
look.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we need to have numbers to work with.
It's kind of a-
We've got to entertain this, we need to have numbers to work with.
right, but to Eric's point, it's not going to matter. We're not going to.
Right, and the one thing I'm concerned about, and I'll segue on what Eric's comment was, is that, a couple things, I mean, where are we getting that most bang for the buck? And if we do that, will it hold up everything else here?
Right. Let's just go with what we've got and go from there.
Well, if a miracle happens, maybe we can add something. Hopefully we can keep them all on there.
They'll go out and buy a Powerball tickets.
That's all I've got.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.
I was just going to say that Catherine said that when you're paving, you want to do things in a small area. And the Powers Road is right near Beans Corner. So, I mean, getting an extra quote on it doesn't cost us anything else, and then you have the numbers to work with. When you're looking at the final numbers, then you make your decision which roads are actually going to fit in there. I don't think it does any harm to get the numbers on the Powers Road. The whole thing, you can always choose to be part of it.
Very good, thank you for that. So, council, any other comments?
I guess I have a comment on this. As far as trimming the shoulder, after the non-paving these roads, what do they do to the shoulders? 'Cause I know when they paved the Higgins Road, they didn't trim the shoulders at all. So you have like a 5-inch step from the asphalt down to the dirt. So if by chance you might navigate off the road a little bit or need to pull over for an emergency vehicle or something like that, it's quite and it's hard on the shoulder of the road. So
It
is
can
that-
be dicey out there.
Right. So is that included in part of the bid, or is that just
No,
an
that's
ad?
the work that Public Works is supposed to do, so we'll have to make sure that they actually do it. Yeah, they have done a lot of shoulder work on State Road Road. We'll just make sure that any roads that are here
Okay.
need shoulders, get the shoulders.
Yep. That's all I got.
Anything else, council? Very good. Hearing none, the sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-35, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-35 passes. Catherine, if you would please, resolution 2236.
Resolution 22-36, resolved that the town council approve the renewal of the alcoholic beverage license for the Broken Puddle Restaurant and Lounge at 382 Heartland Avenue, Pittsfield, Maine, 04967.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 22-36.
Second.
Moving second, thank you very much. Any discussion? Anyone in the audience have anything they'd like to discuss? Bring up comments? Anyone online? Very well, councilors. Essentially a housekeeping item. Questions and comments? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-36, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-36 passes. Resolution 22-37, please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-37, resolved that the town council approve the renewal of the special amusement permit for the Broken Puddle Restaurant and Lounge at 382 Heartland Avenue, Pittsfield, Maine, 04967.
Move we adopt resolution 22-37.
Second. Moving and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments? Anyone in the audience? Anyone online? Councilors? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-37, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-37 passes. We shall move on to the last resolution, 22-38. Please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-38, resolved that the town council appoint members to fill the vacancies on the various town boards and committees.
Look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 22-38.
Second. Moved and seconded. If you look in the package, we have this summary on the last page, three people, three positions.
Correct.
All right, so we see on the Parks and Recreation, we have Elizabeth Ross, 1-year term. On the Planning Board, we have Walter Fletcher III. He's a new member. And Recycling Committee of Christine, pardon my pronunciation, Christine Faria, and that is a renewal on the Recycling Committee. So would anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Anyone online? Council? Questions or comments? Very well. So let's vote on resolution 22-38 with those three people as noted. All those in favor of resolution 22-38 as noted, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-38 passes as noted. Thank you. We have no discussion items from for this meeting, and we shall move on to reports. I shall start with the audience. Anyone? I'll start with the folks on the Zoom meeting. Anyone on the Zoom meeting have anything they'd like to bring up and discuss this evening? Yes, Lynn. Please go ahead.
Well, on your website, if you go to the burn permit section and you click on the link, it doesn't take you anywhere.
Okay. Town manager has noted that, and you will look into that?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
On the burn permit?
Perhaps you could try to explain to me why I called the fire department on March 8th and left a voicemail message. Nobody has returned that call.
Is that a general number that's not tended to? Catherine, do you know?
No, if somebody calls the fire department, they can leave a message. Yes, I'll check.
I mean, if that's a general mailbox or if somebody's responsible to check the voicemails on
Of
that.
course, the fire chief will check that. Now, sometimes the firefighters will, as in all places, listen to things and may not write items down, but I can check into that, Lynn, for you. So you mentioned March
Thank you, Catherine.
8th.
I was a good girl and I took the option one. For
Okay.
a burn permit, and nobody, I left the voicemail message and nobody acknowledges it and returns my call.
All right, very good. I will check with the fire chief and get that addressed. They're usually very, very good about this, but normally it's because people will just go right over to see the different firefighters in town, but you should be able to call up and have that taken care of. So thank you.
Okay.
Excuse
I
me,
have some other matters as well.
excuse me, did you say you tried it online?
If I go to the Pittsfield, Town of Pittsfield website and I do a search for burn permit, you click on the link for a burn permit, it takes you to a page and all it says is burn permit. There's no information whatsoever.
Because I was just on there on Sunday trying to get a burn permit, and I did not get a burn permit, only due to the fact that, and this is a little side different, but it used to be on Saturday and Sunday, you could get them during the day. But if you go on that online, it says you can only get a burn permit from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning. So who's going to burn through the night? Made no sense.
Who is speaking at the moment, please?
Councilman Ross.
If you click on residential, you'll end
So,
up.
Mike, you have a laptop right in front of you. Are you on the website right now?
I'm looking at it now, trying to find where that is. Either way, what we can do, we can look into this and get back to you if that'd be all right.
I'm
We,
going to hold you to that.
you can go ahead and do that, and we will look into it, Lynn.
Yeah. So the next thing is I would like somebody from management of the town of Pittsfield to explain to me what you classify as a structure and what size of a structure you have to have a permit issued for it. I'm getting very, your new code enforcement officer, Bob Deland, he can't keep his facts straight, so.
So Lynn, I will check the zoning ordinance and call you tomorrow. In the zoning ordinance, there's a listing of what requirements are for a building permit, but I don't have the big code book down here. So I'll check into that and call you back tomorrow, or email you.
Okay, well, Bob Delant first through 8 by 10 structure requires a permit at me. Then Kathy Timmons got involved, and she couldn't explain it to me. She told me to read the town ordinance, pages 12 and 13. And then Bob Delant got back to me and said, well, any size structure. I said, so if I want to build a birdhouse 4 by 4, you tell me I need a building permit?
All right, no, I will look into that for you. There is a specific item there.
Thank you. So I'd also like to know what the credentials are of the police department in Pittsfield for having crisis negotiation training or requirements.
All right, for police department items, we do have our acting police chief here, if that's something he feels comfortable responding to because of the training.
Did you hear that, Ryan?
Yes, I did. According to the Criminal Justice Academy, each department has to have 20% of their officers has to attend some kind of crisis training, suicide prevention training, mental health training, and we have met that qualification.
Who's we?
This department has.
And you're the same officer that stood on my porch and told me the only thing that that I own on my property is if it's living and growing. I'd like to know, can the citizens of the town of Pittsfield, Maine, actually get it put on the ballot of who they'd like to see in for acting chief or a chief of police? Or is it just a good old boys club, and just because people like this so-and-so person, then we're going to appoint them to this position.
Well, let me respond to that. It is not the Good Old Boys Club. We have the council that goes through quite a process to vet the police chief, and I think by saying that, it doesn't do justice or show respect to the work that has been done by the council and the respect that this police department has earned. So it is an involved process. It's not a good old boy network in any way. And I assure you that we do have a process that we do follow.
So why can't the citizens of Pittsfield be involved in that?
That's not the way the charter is written. It's the council's responsibility. The charter has been written a number of years ago, and that responsibility has been given to the council to do so.
That's unfortunate.
It's been working that way for quite some time. So Len, follow up. I did look on the burn permit on the town website. I did a search, came up burn permit, and you're right, it comes up with a blank screen that just says burn permits. But Catherine has assured me that she will look into that and try to get that hyperlink cleared up for you.
Super.
Okay?
Great.
All right. Anything else?
Not for me at the moment.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Anyone else online have anything they'd like to bring up and discuss? Very well. I will go to the audience present. Anyone in the audience has anything they'd like to bring up? Mike, please.
Yeah. Mike Gray, I'm the SRO for the police department. I want to bring up something to do with hiring. We initiated a while back because of the problem of hiring police officers. We brought up and got passed by the council a hiring benefit. That was $15,000. That seems like a tremendous amount of money, and it is. I was a selectman for 11 years in town of Palmyra. Anything that came up like that is a lot of money. But when you put into perspective that you've got an officer right now that is supposedly supposed to go to the academy in August, just to fill you in, he's just resigned. He's not going in August. He's going to the town of Old Town because they're starting their people without academy experience at $28 an hour. It's crazy. If he had the academy behind him, he'd start at $35 an hour. So it's a lot of money. That $15,000 that you're looking at is going to save you probably $50,000 to $70,000. By the time you put in what it costs for the academy, the backfilling of the shifts and stuff behind it, you're talking another $50,000 to $60,000. So that money is going to save you. Right now we have two positions, just because of the one who's just vacated. We had one previously that was approved. Can you tell me, Mr. Mayor, when that was approved? I remember for the one vacant shift that we had prior to this resignation. Last year's budget? But this year's budget. This year's budget.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, it was approved. We had one vacant spot. So we're looking. We had two qualified candidates, and excuse me for my voice. I'm going through some treatment right now. I have cancer. I'm going through some treatment, so I'm a little bit shaky. But anyway, we had two qualified candidates. Blueprint Academy, graduated academy. They wanted to apply. We didn't have that sign-on bonus approved. They didn't apply. We may have lost those. Right, Marty? Good possibility. That's $100,000 we would have saved with those two guys. It's a lot of money. And I know this isn't on your agenda right now tonight, but it's something that needs to be put back on it. We put a proposal in, I believe, Catherine, when was it? Was the last meeting?
You can't put a proposal in, we have to go through the union first.
Well, we can do that.
Which
That
you
can
will
be done.
do,
But
when
anyway,
I receive the notice.
we'd set a proposal in. It was supposed to be on the budget, proposed to you guys, or sent to the union March 3rd. Could have been done. We would have taken care of the union portion of it. no doubt in my mind. So we need to get that on the budget, your proposals, get it set up. We got 2 of them now. 2 proposals, 2 vacancies we need to get filled. If we can find the academy graduates to come through, it's going to save $100,000. That's a lot of money. Not only that, you put those 2 guys that you hire now, you put them on the road. They're working in 2 weeks. Jump in the car and go. If we have to hire guys off the street, how long we been getting over on? Not a year, pretty near a year, before we get him on the road. So now you're paying him, you're paying the guy to train him. That all gets added into that. So just think about that, guys. And the other thing is, I don't know if this is time to bring this out, the SRO position, we met last week. I believe the school's going to cancel that, or not fund it this year. So that's another spot that's there. So those are things that we got to look at. Marty got thrown in the deep end of the pool when he got put in as chief. He's doing a great job, but he got thrown in the deep end of the pool. He went from the patrolman to the sergeant's position to the chief of police in 3 weeks? 4 weeks? Weren't very long. So we need to look at getting qualified people to help. And I apologize again for my voice. But we need to do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else in the audience have anything you'd like to bring up? Yes,
I just wanted to speak to the project that Catherine brought up earlier, the visioning project for the town working with the Department of
Maine DOT.
Yeah. And the state planner. So thank you, Catherine, for following up on that and setting a meeting for next week. I really want to encourage the council to take a long-term approach to the Main Street project and the impact that can actually have on the town. Not just the physical appearance of the town and the workability within the town, but the overall impact on businesses, community resources, and the community's attitude towards itself and how people think about the town. In the fall of 2019, there was a community meeting to gauge interest in becoming a Main Street community. There was a meeting held at the library. There was about 20 to 25 people there. And I'm interested in renewing that project. At that time, the timing was off. It was late September, and the applications to the program had to be in by the first week of October. So there just wasn't enough time to put together the residents and the businesses and people from the municipality, the councilors, to actually work on that project to bring it to fruition for an application. But I feel like this year we have this groundswell of interest in doing something with the Main Street, and this type of program can help support that type of program in a long-term option. There's also some possibility of grant funding that comes along with that for programming within towns for business development. There's facade programs to help businesses develop the facades on their businesses, which there's several buildings in town that are badly in need of facade facelifts. Our theater being one of them, which would be much more curb eye appeal for that. So I set a meeting with Ann Ball and her staff at the Main Street Foundation to talk about the project and find out what kinds of things have changed in the last 3 years as far as operations of the project and options. There's an affiliate program, which is like the sister program of a full-on Main Street program, which is what Skowhegan has. And that has been a very, very successful business development, community development program for the town of Skowhegan. But it takes a lot of interest from businesses, it takes interest from residences, and it takes support from the municipality in order to pull that off. So I'm going to meet with Ann at the end of the month. If anybody's interested in being part of the visioning part of that, which would probably come mid-May maybe for a community meeting, you can get in touch with me. Compiling a list of interested parties. Jamlux is helping me with this. Residents, businesses, municipal officers, anybody that's interested in developing a community program as a resource for businesses, for youth, for visitors, contact me. We'll add your name to the list. And when we have that clarifying information from Anne, we'll put together a community meeting and try and do like a mini visioning session that can kind of go along with this physical aspect of getting Main Street redone towards the end of next year. So I'm really excited about that. I think it has great possibilities. And this Main Street project that we have going on, the street project, it really has further impact for our community, and we should be making the most of it.
Heather, can I interrupt you real quick? That information, could you send some information to me or maybe the other councilors?
Yeah, I'll bring it back to the council. I'm going to meet with Ann not until the 29th because she has some vacation staff time scheduled, so she didn't have time available.
Is there something that, like a website we can look at or
There
some
is a
information that we can digest before then?
Yep, it's called
Okay,
the
if you
Main
could share
Street
that with us, I
Foundation.
appreciate it.
Yep, it's called the Main Street Foundation, and that has basic information about the overall programs and the affiliate program, which, from what I understand, it was the affiliate program that we would want to be starting with, and it's kind of like dipping your toes in the programming, getting things organized, and then you can move from that into the full-on Main Street program, which has a larger pool of funding and more resources and support. They do a lot of community training to train up leaders and community people that want to take on different tasks. So there's a lot of training that goes along with that for the community as well.
What's that?
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience? Very good, thank you. I will start with the council. Deputy Mayor Roger Dice, you will be first.
Since I get to go first, I'll thank everybody that participated and commented this evening for attending.
See, I could have gone first and then let you go.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Councilor Frost, please.
I did have one residence, and I'll get with Elise afterwards, or Catherine. They claimed their sewer backed up in their facility, and he ended up having a camera. He hired an outfit, put a camera down his sewer pipe, and it wasn't in his sewer until he got out in the main town line and went down about 16, 20 feet down the town line, and then he had them backtrack out. They videotaped it all, and then they went down in with a rotor and unplugged it. And I guess he talked to the person running the sewer and was looking for the town to kind of reimburse his expense of hiring that outfit, and they said there was not enough evidence. But so I'll get with Elise afterwards.
Yep, that's fine. We have a process that we can go through.
Yeah.
Under the law, if the town did not have insurance, we're not liable for these situations, but because we do have the insurance, we get the copy of the bills from the individuals. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, we'll get a copy of the bill, a little write-up, and then we send it into the insurance company, and usually there's no issue.
Well, he was just looking to get reimbursed the expense to have the sewer line.
Right, that's what we would send
And he
in.
has a disc showing the pluggage.
Yeah, we would send the bill in,
Okay.
yeah.
That's all I have. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Brent. Councilor Jester, we'll go to you, sir.
Yeah, I think I would just echo Pete's sentiment and just say thank you to everybody that shared tonight. Appreciate whoever put the report together on the cruiser and getting us that information so that we can make an informed decision. So thank you.
All set?
Yep, all set.
Very good. Councilor Saucier.
I want to thank Marty and Mike for being here, and especially Marty for stepping up into our job like that. And you're doing a great job, and I think I speak for everyone when I say we have your back. It's not a good old boys club. In fact, I'm a new boy on this council, and so is Craig, and I think it's not fair to you at all to say those things because it's pretty assuming. So just thank you for the job you're doing, and I support you. I think the whole council, I speak for everyone. But that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Councilor Hall.
Yeah, I would just echo what the previous counselor said. The other thing, to piggyback kind of on what Mike was saying, there is a process for that, so I don't know what it is, but maybe, Catherine, you can make
Yes,
sure that happens. I know it should go through probably the police,
Committee.
our committee there, so whatever that takes, we should probably be making sure that happens. But
Yes, we just received, unfortunately, Mr. Kettle's resignation.
Sure,
So,
sure.
that's an easy item to do, and then it needs to go to the union attorney so that we can do the paperwork, and then we bring it back to the council.
right, and it
Yes.
goes back to the committee and then to the council, I assume.
We'll go over that, but
Okay.
yes,
All
that's
right.
the process.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
go to the council.
The committee will form and get with the union. When there's agreement, then it goes to the council, and then the council will act upon that.
Okay. As long as that's moving forward, that's good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, everything else, I'm good.
All right, thank you very much. I'll be as brief as possible. I do want to reiterate once again, thanking everyone who was online and everyone here. I've always said we've seen many meetings where it's just been the councilors themselves. Yeah, so I appreciate everyone showing up, and anyone watching in TV land. Just a couple highlights I'd bring up. April 21st is election. I want anyone out there listening, everyone in town to go out and vote. Everybody. It's not just a right, it's a responsibility. So I'd like to see this place filled with voters. MSAD 53, they will have their public meeting May 19th at 6:30 at the Warsaw Gym. I encourage everyone listening or everyone who will watch this at a later date to attend. Those are generally 99% people associated with the school system and 1% everyone else. So if you want your voice to be heard, please show up. Also, be aware that part of the process is the potential elimination of the SRO position from that budget. So if you want your voices heard, please show up. Not just at the ballot box, go to that meeting, let your voices be heard. I want to thank Marty and Mike for showing up. And I will reiterate what Eric had said. You guys have had a tough road to hoe. And we're all thinking and praying for Pete, the chief. I understand he's doing better. I understand he's doing well, and looking forward to his return and rapid recovery. But you gentlemen were thrown into a mess. So thank you very much, and we do have your backs. And I'm glad you said to speak for everybody, because I will do the same. I've always been a big supporter of everyone you personally and everyone you professionally, and I will always continue to. So one thing, as was mentioned before, with the hiring process, it's a process. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil. So if you need any help with that, either of you gentlemen, personally, professionally, if I can help, any councilor here can help anyone here in the town, please reach out. Because we're here to support you, and I want to make sure we got some significant momentum going with the police department. I'd like to see it solidify and stay. It's unfortunate we've had a couple of gentlemen recently that decided they have greener passions elsewhere, but we'll see what we can do. So that's really all I have. Heather, I'll be looking forward to that information for you if you could. We're closing comment. So I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Sorry.